welcome to my little cozy corner of the net. Today I'd like to share my end of the year book tag with you. So if you've got a cup of tea as well, cheers, and let's start with the first question. So, is there a book that I started that I still need to finish by the end of this year? Yes. Actually, there's a couple, but one in particular that I started around the summer is The Reading List. And I'm just under halfway through, and I would really like to finish it by the end of the year. The other one is Shadowhunters: City of Fallen Angels, which I started around about January, February this year, have barely read. I don't think I'm going to pick this up. I do want to continue reading it because the books go into the story past the Netflix series, which I watched a couple of years ago, and I am enjoying it. It just doesn't fit with what I want to read right now. So I think if I can finish The Reading List that I started in the summer, which I'm also further through, I think I'll be happy with that, and then I'll pick this up again next year. Next, do I have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? For that, I'm going to go with a manga, Voices of a Distant Star by Makoto Shinkai, who is, other than Studio Ghibli, probably my absolute favourite Japanese anime creator. And I've never actually read any of his books. I've bought a few of them, and I think this one will be a nice transition because it starts with a character sitting outside, bundled up, talking about winter. So that will be perfect for that question prompt. Next, is there a release you're still waiting for? Well, yes and no. The release I was waiting for in autumn was Iron Flame, and I have got that, and I've started reading the first chapter, and haven't progressed further because of Yalk and work and trying to edit and film, so I do want to read it. But the book that I'm waiting for that's coming next year is Tales of the Celestial Kingdom by Su Lin Tan. So this is a compilation of short stories from the mythical kingdoms and Chinese folklore, mix of fiction, science fiction, fantasy, and I'm looking forward to that. I haven't read Daughters of the Moon Goddess yet, but I think I will enjoy that. That'll be out on the 1st of February 2024. Name 3 books you want to read by the end of the year. First on my list is a book that my partner's friend lent me many years ago. He probably wonders what happened to it, if I've still got it, if I've read it, if he's ever going to get it back or see it again. The answer is yes, he will get it back. I do want to read it. So I'm putting it on my list to read by the end of this year, so I can finally say I've read it and I can finally return Equal Rights by Terry Pratchett. It does sound really good. I've been wanting to get into the Discworld series. I never really knew where because it's such a big world, and to date the only Terry Pratchett book I've read is Good Omens that he wrote with Neil Gaiman, so it'll be quite fun to delve into his Discworld, hopefully before the end of this year. The next book I want to read by the end of this year is a classic. I've seen the film, the animated film, many times. It's often shown every year at Christmas in Germany, and so I grew up watching it every year at that time, and now I finally got the book to read, The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. I was really excited when he released a new version, that he's writing more and we will get more by him finally, and I think in keeping with the tradition of having seen the film every Christmas, I'd finally like to read the book and find out what the story is, how it compares to the film, and I think I'm going to really enjoy that. It's not too long, so I think I can manage to fit that in. the third book I want to read by the end of the year, I just got out from the library. Which is why that was still in there. I recently finished 9th House and really enjoyed that. That was my first ever Dark Academia read, because I normally favour fantasy, high fantasy, sometimes science fiction, but Leigh Bardugo has such a brilliant set of books, and I saw the Shadow and Bone TV series, so I do want to explore her world, and 9th House was the first book I happened to get from the library, but now that I've read that, I've now got Hellbent, and that I would love to be able to read by the end of the year, so that I don't have to renew it in case someone else wants to read it and reserves it. So I hope I can finish that before the end of this year. Out of these books, do I think there's one that can still shock me or become a new favourite? Potentially Hellbent. I really enjoyed 9th House, and when that finished I instantly saw, oh, that could lead into a sequel. Oh, there is a sequel, I just hadn't realised it. So potentially that could become a new favourite. It is a shocking Dark Academia world, so maybe that one. Or potentially Equal Rights by Terry Pratchett, because his world is such a phenomenal world. I've heard so many good things, so that could become a new favourite as well. I don't know if it would be a shocking book. I think it'll be a very interesting read, but a potential to become a new favourite if, you know, Good Omens is anything to go by, and, you know, he writes fantasy. I love fantasy, so that has strong potential to be a new favourite as well. Have I already started making reading plans for 2024? Honestly, I hadn't until I looked up the questions for this end of year book tag. I am predominantly a mood reader. I will pick things up as I feel like, or want to read certain books in certain seasons that kind of fit in with those seasons. But you know, to try and sort of motivate myself to read more, keep reading, and read some of the books that I haven't gotten to yet, I thought maybe I should look up different reading challenges, or, you know, create some kind of vague plan at least. So I found Beyond the Bookends 2024 reading challenge, which isn't too specific, so it still allows for an element of mood reading and, you know, picking something up spur of the moment if something takes my fancy, but it gives a little bit of a structure. So for each month you have a different genre, and you're supposed to pick something from that genre to read that month, which again could be, you know, interesting, because that way I'll read more books that I don't usually read, and instead of just constantly reading fantasy after fantasy after fantasy, it'll kind of hopefully open me up to other genres and other authors and other types of books out there. So I think that'll be a really good challenge to follow, and I hope I can succeed. What are some of the books you're currently reading or planning to pick up, or are there any books that you'd like to try and finish by the end of the year as well? If you want to answer any of the questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, or find out what you're reading and looking forward to reading in the future. Yeah, that brings me to the end of this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a good day, good week, good weekend, whenever you happen to be watching this. Have a wonderful day or night, and thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye!